Life in Belarus, Europe's last hidden paradise or secret nightmare, depends on who you ask and how you see it, but let me paint you a picture that might surprise you. What if I told you there's a European country the size of Kansas, dotted with untouched forests and shimmering lakes so clear you can see straight to the bottom, and rent so cheap that New Yorkers would cry real tears of joy? Imagine living in a place where your monthly apartment costs less than a single dinner in Manhattan, yet you still enjoy world-class education, lightning-fast internet, and some of the cleanest, crispest air on the continent. Sounds almost unreal, right? Welcome to Belarus, the best-kept secret in Europe, a country so mysterious that many Americans wouldn't even be able to point to it on a map. And today we're diving deep into what life is really like inside this Slavic nation, because by the end of this journey, you'll either be booking your plane ticket or you'll be scratching it off your bucket list forever. Let's start with something that will completely shift your perspective. Belarus covers about 80,000 square miles, picture Kansas, or imagine combining England and Wales, and that's how much land we're talking about. But here's the shocker, only 9.5 million people live here. To put that into perspective, New York City alone squeezes 8.3 million people into just 300 square miles. That means Belarus has less than 10 million people spread across an area that is 250 times bigger than New York City. That's around 46 people per square mile, compared to Manhattan's wild 70,000 people per square mile. Do you know what that means for anyone moving here? Clean streets, breathable air, and above all else, that rare commodity Americans are losing fast, personal space. Wide open spaces, quiet neighborhoods, no one breathing down your neck on a crowded subway platform. It almost feels like stepping into a parallel reality. Now, here's where Belarus gets really interesting. While most of the former Soviet Union fell apart in the 1990s with chaos, civil wars, corruption, and economic collapse, Belarus decided to walk a very different path. For more than 30 years, it's been steady, stable, predictable. The result is a place that feels frozen in time but also futuristic in its own peculiar way. Cities look like they've been pulled out of a science fiction movie, perfectly preserved Soviet architecture, massive boulevards, and an eerie sense of order. Everything works with almost Swiss watch precision, but with that undeniable Slavic character running underneath. It's no coincidence that companies like EPAM, Wargaming, and Panda found fertile soil here. But of course, there's always a trade-off, and the million-dollar question is, what's the real cost of all this stability? Well, let's talk money, because this is where Belarus really shocks people. Grab a coffee in Minsk, it'll set you back $1 or $2. A full restaurant meal? $5 to $10. A nice, modern apartment in the city center, with 2 bedrooms? Between $400 and $800 a month. Think about that. In Manhattan, that wouldn't even cover your weekly grocery run and Metro card, let alone rent. Taxes range between 13% to 20%, which for Americans used to the IRS hammering them, might feel like hitting the jackpot. But here's the catch, salaries are also lower. If you're earning Western wages remotely, Belarus can feel like paradise. If you're earning locally, the balance looks different. Still, for digital nomads, freelancers, or entrepreneurs, the math here looks very attractive. Now let's talk about the one thing that makes Belarus truly unique, its nature. Imagine this, 40% of the country is covered in forest. Towering pines, dense oak groves, spruce trees stretching endlessly, and air so clean it almost feels sparkling. This isn't an exaggeration, Belarus hosts Europe's last primeval forest, the Belarus Forest, a UNESCO World Heritage Site where European bison still roam free as they did thousands of years ago. Add to this thousands of pristine lakes and rivers, and you start to understand why people call Belarus Europe's last hidden paradise. For anyone coming from polluted, overcrowded cities, this is a place that feels like pressing the reset button on your lungs and your soul. Of course, we can't ignore one of the most talked about stereotypes, the Slavic beauty. And yes, there is truth to it. Belarusians are often tall, with striking features, and there is a visible culture of self-care, fitness, and presentation. You'll see men and women jogging in the snow, exercising in parks even in the dead of winter, and dressing sharply on ordinary days. But with that comes pressure. If you're moving here from a more laid-back culture, the expectation to look polished and fit can feel overwhelming. Dating here is different too. Forget Tinder ruling the scene. In Belarus, face-to-face interactions still dominate, though the younger generation is catching up to Western norms. And here we arrive at one of the toughest cultural aspects, making friends. Belarusians are polite, respectful, and professional, but they can feel cold and reserved at first. It's not personal, it's cultural. They call it the Slavic wall, and it's real. Breaking through it takes time and patience. But once you do, the payoff is enormous. Friendships in Belarus are deep, loyal, and long-lasting. Hospitality runs strong in their traditions, and once you're trusted, you'll find yourself welcomed into homes, treated like family, and fed until you can't eat anymore. Education in Belarus is another hidden gem. From elementary schools to universities, the system is practically free, even for immigrants who manage to get residency. Top institutions like Belarus State University and the National Technical University are gaining international recognition, especially in math, science, and language programs. For American families terrified of college debt, this is an absolute blessing. Imagine your kids getting world-class education without the crushing weight of loans. Career-wise, Belarus has plenty to offer in tech, engineering, agriculture, and manufacturing. Minsk's high-technology park has become a hub for over 1,000 companies, producing software and innovation at levels that rival its neighbors. Salaries may be lower than in Western Europe, but the local purchasing power balances things out. The big hurdle? Language. English may work in certain tech environments, but for real career growth, Russian or Belarusian isn't optional, it's a must. And then, of course, we have to talk about winter. And let me be blunt, it's brutal. We're not just talking chilly winds. We're talking 5 months of deep, bone-cracking cold. Temperatures dropping to -25 Celsius, -13 Fahrenheit, daylight that barely lasts 6 or 7 hours, and an atmosphere that can feel isolating and heavy. Seasonal depression, cabin fever, it's a real challenge, especially for expats unprepared for this. But Belarusians have developed entire cultural survival systems around it: skiing, ice skating, steaming saunas, and epic New Year celebrations that can stretch for weeks. Winter isn't just endured, it's embraced, and you either adapt or you suffer. Minsk, the capital, deserves its own spotlight. It's one of the most underrated cities in Europe. Wide avenues, stunning Soviet-era buildings, carefully maintained parks, efficient and dirt-cheap public transport, and a level of safety that surprises most newcomers. You can walk alone at night without fear, something rare in many parts of the world today. What's more, you can be in the center of the city in the morning and within an hour, find yourself walking in untouched forests or fishing in a pristine lake. Belarus takes sustainability seriously. The country has somehow managed to maintain economic growth while preserving its natural treasures. Recycling isn't optional, it's ingrained in the culture. People cycle, use public transport, and prefer organic, locally grown food. It's a lifestyle that feels both modern and old-fashioned in the best way possible. And let's not forget the booming tech scene. Minsk's high-tech park produces more software per capita than anywhere else in Eastern Europe. Companies like Viber, Wargaming, and EPAM are household names in the industry, and the work culture here tends to be horizontal rather than rigidly hierarchical, meaning innovation is encouraged at all levels. Internet speeds are among the best in the region, and 4G coverage ensures you can work remotely from practically anywhere. For digital nomads, it's a dream. The food? Well, here comes another reality check. Traditional Belarusian cuisine isn't going to set your taste buds on fire with spices. It's hearty, filling, and simple. Think potatoes, pork, river fish, and lots of preserved vegetables. Draniki, the famous potato pancakes, are everywhere. For some foreigners, the flavors may feel bland at first. But in bigger cities, you'll find a growing number of international restaurants, so you won't be stuck with potatoes forever. Mental health, though, is a subject worth mentioning. Despite the overall stability and order, life here can feel emotionally heavy. Long winters, the pressure to always present yourself well, and the difficulty of forming deep connections can take a toll. The good news? Psychological support is free, and society is slowly becoming more open about mental health. Therapies are available, and awareness is spreading. Now, the question everyone asks, so is Belarus paradise or nightmare? The truth is, it depends. For people who crave stability, safety, affordable living, and a strong connection with nature, Belarus can be heaven. For those who thrive on sunshine, nightlife, cultural diversity, or highly expressive communities, it can feel isolating and cold. But here's what you can't deny: Belarus works. Institutions are reliable. Life is safe. Education is solid. The air is fresh. And if you're ready to adapt, learn the language, and embrace the winter, it might just be one of the most rewarding hidden gems in Europe. Success here isn't about showing up with romantic dreams. It's about preparation, resilience, and the willingness to live life the Belarusian way. The real question isn't whether Belarus is perfect. The question is whether it's perfect for you. So what do you think? Would you give this mysterious Slavic land a chance, or would you cross it off your list forever? Drop your thoughts below, because this might just be Europe's last great hidden gem, waiting for those bold enough to see it for what it truly is.